Hey Tapalo and Podcast Network presents Rookie Revelation, the podcast for NFL fans who don't just follow the game, but they understand it at a deeper level. The insider's guide to the NFL draft, team building, and uncovering the hidden gems that could transform the league. Spot the stars before they shine. Rookie Revelation is your draft day edge. Join Jonathan and CJ as they present Rookie Revelation.
Okay, so now moving on to the Tennessee Titans. Man, I've been thinking about Tennessee Titans a lot lately. I've been thinking about them a lot before the big news of Rand Carthen getting fired, the GM who's only been there for 2 years, who came from the San Francisco organization as one of the executives there. He was beloved in that building. I think he really kind of brought that building together. I'm really disappointed. I'm really disappointed in him getting fired and hearing the structure and the rules that he had to abide by in the front office. Like, can he not just do his job? You know, like, that just shows you, like, with a talent like him, and, like, whatever. I don't want to go too deep into it, but it's just disappointing because I think Rand Carthen was a top name that was getting, looks at for GM positions, and he didn't get an opportunity to really do what he could do. And I thought from the early beginnings of once he came in, because he came in after, because I guess Vrabel did get fired last year. He's been there for 2 years, so he was able to hire Bill Callahan as the offensive coordinator, as the head coach, and
Brian Callahan.
Bill is his dad.
Yeah, who's the offensive line coach?
Who's a top offensive line coach in the NFL. I thought they was building something. Like, their defense was really good. Like, their defense was quietly really good. And I thought they filled a lot of big holes. And then they also, like, made a move for the trade for Snead in the secondary for them. And obviously their offense did not perform. They were hoping that they found something with Will Levis, which was a big, crapshoot. Rand did draft him. That was his first draft. So that doesn't look the best. But they didn't give up terrible amount of draft capital. So, but 2 years is not enough time for him to be able to be judged and to just think like, hey, yeah, it's going to take you 2 years to rebuild this, like literally tear down the roster you had with Mike Vrabel and then build your own identity in 2 years. So breaking down the Tennessee Titans, they have the first overall pick in the NFL draft. They went 3-14. Brian Callahan is their offensive coordinator. Brian Callahan is their head coach. Nick Foles is their offensive coordinator. Denard Wilson is their defensive coordinator. West Coast offense, 4-3 front. Rand Carthen was their GM. Now they're looking for a GM to go in there, which again is going to be kind of like, hey, like, who do you pick as GM that's like cool with Brian Callahan? Like, it's such a weird thing when you kind of have that uneven, like, not getting your GM who chooses your head coach. So going to quarterback position stinks. Will Levis, I mean, D minus. Like, I don't know. He has athletic ability. I think obviously another big misstep was definitely the trading of Malik Willis. Again, but Malik Willis was a holdover from previous regime. So it's kind of one of those things where it makes sense. But, then it's like when Malik Willis filled in for Jordan Love and he looked really good. And so we can talk about that. That could be a fun discussion topic later on this offseason as well, whether or not is Malik Willis been more developed or was he in a quarterback-friendly system that nurtures quarterbacks? Like, can any quarterback just thrive with a little bit of talent in Green Bay? but we could talk about that. But I'm just going D minus. I never liked Will Levis coming out the draft. The hype that he got kind of astonished me. Yeah, like he has like this like cool like 7-on-7 camp passing motion that he can just sling the rock, but it's a lot more than just be able to sling the rock 60 yards, Bazooka Joe, and be able to like and play the quarterback position. And he just made consistently, meme worthy plays, and like he's kind of like a Carson Wentz. If I can put a comp out there, like he, like you think like there's some times where he can make some spectacular throws. Like when he kind of came in last year, he was like, okay, he got a little spark, he had a little juice to the offense, but then he would just do a dumb airhead play, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, just do the simple things right, and then don't make it too hard. And he made playing the quarterback position too hard for some reason. And then Mason Rudolph is just never going to be a guy, but he's just a constant professional backup. So he wasn't truly to be relied on. So they definitely have to evaluate the quarterback position. And being luckily for them, or unlucky, depending on how you look at it, they do have the first overall pick, so they get the pick of the litter at quarterback. And a lot of rumors are Shedeur Sanders, but I always said that I think Cam Ward fits this offense better than Shedeur, but we shall see throughout this draft process. Do you agree? D minus for the quarterback position?
Yeah, Will Levis stinks.
All right. Running back position, man, I really thought Tajay Spears was going to take a step this year. I really thought so. He finished with 84 carries, 312 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He's still 23, so he's still pretty young. I think he won. I don't think he played a lot of games this year, though.
He missed a couple.
He played 12 games this year, so.
He missed about 5.
So yeah, last year he played all 17, but only had 100 carries. Obviously playing behind Derrick Henry, and now he just hasn't been able to be that guy. Maybe they'll give him another shot next year, but Tony Pollard did provide them a pretty good spark, and at times for sure. He did finish with over 1,000 yards on 260 carries, 5 touchdowns. Just averaging just over 4 yards per carry. He had some good games, and again, I just don't think Tony Pollard is a RB1. He has to be spelled. And then with Tajay Spears, I just don't think Tajay Spears is a RB1. He might not be a RB2, to be honest with you, but he's still young enough so you can give him a time to keep maturing. Tony Pollard is 27, so he's in running back years. He's in his back half of his prime. So we shall see what happens with him. Running back room, I'm going to go C.
C plus?
I'm okay with that. Because Tony Pollard did have a good year. 1,000-yard rusher is a pretty good accomplishment.
Yeah, and I think they have 2 good running backs.
I'll say 1 good running back, 1 developmental guy.
I think Tajay Spears is still good. He just didn't get a lot of touches.
Yeah, but then it's like you.
He said he had how many carries, how many yards?
He had 92 carries and 300 yards, or something like that.
So it's like a little
3.7. So yeah, 84 carries for 312 and 4. He had as many he had 4 touchdowns compared to Tony Pollard's 5 touchdowns. So if you would think to double his carries, his touchdown percentage should go higher. And he does have a pretty good. I want to say he was pretty solid in the receiving game.
Yeah, he's a good pass catcher.
So it's like, they both are like decent pass catchers. So they got 2 hybrid backs that you can bring on the field more. I don't know. We'll see. I just don't know about Tajay. I want him to be good. Yeah. I do. But with this running back class, I would definitely be looking to add another back.
That's fair. I think they could add a big back. Can you imagine a Cam Scatterbo in Tennessee?
Oh, Scatterbo. Yeah. They definitely, it's like, it almost felt like it's like how they break up with their ex. and like they're so used to a big back. I mean, the king of backs, and then it's like, no, we want to go fast scat back. Like, you know what I mean? That's what we want.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it was fine. They got 1,000 yards, but it's no King Henry, you know.
Yeah.
So what'd you say?
I said C plus. C plus for the running back from
That's fine. I'm not gonna fight you on it.
wide receiver room. Calvin
D.
Ridley.
D. They started the year with Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, and Nuke.
And now they have Calvin Ridley.
And well, Nick Westbrook, Akeem, has had these just insanely weird good games.
He was
Having a
running them like
98
2
yard,
touchdown games.
yeah, 2 touchdown games with like, and he had the 98 yard touchdown one game again with Will Levis. I think he's a free agent as well.
He is.
So, and he's only 27. So
I mean, he might be back, but I don't think he's.
he's not, yeah, it's like looking at his stat line, it's like 32 catches, 497 yards, but 9 touchdowns. Like that's like tight end numbers, but it's like, you know, but he had those big plays, like that 98 yard touchdown, and like just having those, just a run of games where he had a, where's this? It was in the middle of the season, but he had just a spell. So I don't know. Maybe they might give him a deal to try to keep him to, you know, but receiver is a big need. I'm going straight up D, because even with Calvin Ridley, like he had 1,000 yard season, 64 catches, 1,017 and 4 touchdowns. But can you really depend on Calvin Ridley?
No, isn't he already 30?
He is 30 years old. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
So they definitely need to get younger and better. And the Titans have one thing, ever since A.J. Brown, they have gotten worse at the wide receiver position. And they've been trying to go more older guys.
Yeah, they tried Julio Jones. They tried Nuke. They tried washed up Tyler Boyd. They tried Calvin Ridley.
Mm-hmm. And then their last draft attempt was Treylon Burks, who is not even on this roster, I don't think.
He is. He's on IR.
So, like, I give you this, like Calvin Ridley, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons after he gambled on himself and, you know, missed those couple years. But, yeah, I mean, he dropped down on touchdowns. So he had 8 touchdowns with the Jags and 4 this year with the Titans. Obviously, Will Levis, not great, but Calvin Ridley could have had like 15 touchdowns last year with the amount of drop passes he had.
Yeah.
And specifically drop touchdowns. But yeah. So
he dropped a good bit last year and then only got like 1 foot in.
Right.
On a lot. So yeah, he could have had a lot more last year.
And then Tyler Boyd was obviously a guy who knew the system coming over from Cincinnati. He is 30 as well. So like you got your two of your top 3 receivers are 30. Nick Westbrook, NWI, is 27. So like you have no young talent outside of Treylon Burks, who I think is 24, maybe 25. Yeah, he's 24. He turns 25 next year. So, and he hasn't shown you any ability to be an NFL receiver. Yeah. So receiver is a position of need. And so someone would say like, hey, do you run it back? Do you run it back with Levis for another year? Or like, again, like, I mean, you could take a chance at like a young quarterback. You know, we talked about Trey Lance earlier. A Sam Darnold. A Justin Fields. But then Justin Fields would be in the same situation with Chicago and no receivers to throw to. So,
but they can still draft one.
Let's see. They could draft one. Like they could go. Like Tennessee could go, instead of going quarterback, they can go Travis Hunter, get a corner and a receiver, or they can trade back down for a team who really wants Cam or Shador, and get T-Mac, or Will Johnson. I don't know. We'll see. But receiver room, I'm giving a D plus.
Yeah, I think D is fair. Tight end room, they got Chico Conquo.
I'm giving this tight end room a D, and we can move on. Cause I like Chiggy. I really do. I think he's a freak athlete. He 52 catches is pretty good. 479 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he was like a check down guy. Like he was just there in the flat. I don't know what his route running capability is. I like his athletic ability, but I don't know. Like and this is a good year to get a tight end. This is a very good year to need a tight end.
It is. You said you're giving him a what?
A D.
D plus?
No, not even that.
Okay. No plus, just a D. All right.
Maybe even D minus.
I think D's fair. Chig, just his athletic ability alone.
I mean, he's still 25, but it's like, how much longer can we keep to see him like break out? You know, like,
well, they got to use him.
Yeah, I mean, 56 catches is pretty solid. I think he might have been the second leading receiver on his team.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But which is not saying a lot.
No, I mean,
in terms of catches anyway.
Levis threw for what, like 2,000 yards?
Yeah. Let's see. In terms of, he's the third leading receiving yards guy and the second leading receptions. So, and that's 52 catches and 479 yards, 2 touchdowns.
So we'll give him a D. On offensive line, we got J.C. Latham at left tackle, Peter Skorupski at left guard,
Latham.
Daniel Brunskill at center, Dylan Raduns at right guard, and Nicholas Petit-Frere at right tackle. Those are the starters. And then backups, we got John Ojukwu at left tackle. Corey Levin is backup guard and center. Arlington Hambright is a backup right guard. That's a fake name. And Jalen Duncan from Maryland is backup right tackle.
Man, I really like Jalen Duncan. But he's definitely more of a project guy. Oh, wait, no. Is he starting right tackle?
I think he's the backup.
Yeah. They said he was questionable 3 days ago. I would love to see him get opportunity. Hopefully, if he's developed and to be their right tackle. Because, like, I think the issue that happened with the Titans is, like, I think they tried, like, because Skoronski was, like, a tweener last year, but there's people thought because he went so high. Oh, he went 11. But, yeah, he was kind of a tweener. People almost thought he was going to be a tackle, but most likely
he's 6'8".
Skoronski?
Isn't he 6'8"?
He's 6'4".
Oh. Why did I think he was 6'8"?
So I mean, in theory, like you would have thought, like Skoronski would have been your left tackle or right tackle, and then you have J.C. Latham come in, but well, I don't know. Like and then they also did try to go after what's my boy name? He retired, Sadiq Charles, but he retired. He was like literally running with the ones. And he said, yeah, he knew this team was going to be trash. And he said, I'm just going to retire. But yeah.
He saw that Bill Callahan sled. He said, this ain't it for me.
Nah, yeah. So I would love to see if they can develop Jalen Duncan, who's 6'6", and J.C. Latham at like both tackles, Skoronski at left guard, and then what was it, Dylan Raduns? He's 6'6".
He's still pretty young too.
Yeah, he's 26, second round pick a couple years ago. I mean, they got size. They're just not good.
Brunskill's 30. He's in his 6th year. I think he came into the league with the 49ers.
Yeah, I think if they can, I think also, losing Sadiq in the middle, or like before the season started, probably hurt them a little bit. They probably had plans for him, but yeah, they're young. Like, I mean, you can have a pretty young offensive line. Like, if you have Jalen Duncan at right tackle, J.C. Latham at left, Peter Skoronski, they're like all average like 24 years old. And then you can kind of upgrade your guards, maybe get a veteran.
Maybe kick Nicholas Petit-Frere into right guard. I'm going to slide Raduns over to center.
Yeah. and he's
because
25.
he's only 25.
So
He's
you can
just
have a
not
really young offensive
that
line.
good.
But if
Yeah.
it works out and they gel, like I believe Bill Callahan can, because and they have 1,000-yard rusher, so they can run the football. It's just pass protection is not the best for them. But I think they're just an interior piece away and possibly a shuffle of a tackle away, a swing tackle even away to being a solid offensive line. So I'm gonna give them a C. C. Yeah, I'm gonna give them a C.
See, I think that's fair.
Because I was gonna say C plus, but I'm like, there's no one that's like really good, you know.
I mean, Latham's pretty good, but he's still a rookie, so it
Latham's only
can't
21.
elevate the
Like
whole
I mean,
group just off that.
I averaged that all wrong. Latham is 21, Skoronski's 23, and I think Jalen Dunk is 24. So he's the only one that messes up the age. But like, yeah, I mean, that's a young offensive line. So, but even still, that's good. Like, especially because you what I mean. Like, if you get that to gel, like, and they're averaging like 6'6" in height too. Like, they're all big dudes.
Yeah. Size matters.
No, it doesn't. Okay. Cool. So yeah, C for the offensive line. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball. Defensive side of the ball is really good. Defensive side of the ball is really good. Sebastian Joseph Day, Devondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons. Oof, they run a 3-4. Sweat is a freaking dog, bro.
Yeah. Do you want to include the outside linebackers with the D line or with the linebackers? Because they're pass rushers. So
Right. Yeah, we'll count the. No, we'll just count the down lineman as D line.
okay. So we got Sebastian Joseph Day, Tavondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons.
That's a good 3 front.
That is.
That's a B plus. That might be That might be. Joseph Day has 2.5 sacks. Sweat had 1 sack, forced fumble. But he was just such a demon, bro. Like he was such a hassle, all like just disruptive force. And Jeffrey Simmons is the standard for sure for this team. 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. So pretty good. There's some hosses though. And they're all young. Jeffrey Simmons is 27. So he's
Harold
still
Landry. Edge rusher is 28. So not defensive linemen, but pass rushers, all pretty young. They don't have a lot of depth though. Like they only have 5 defensive down linemen. It's Sebastian Joseph Day, Tavondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons, James Lynch, and Keandre Coburn.
Yeah. But they're all young behind him. Coburn's 24. He played at Texas too, so him and Sweat played at Texas together. And then said James Lynch. He's 25. This is a young defensive line. He had a sack and 6 tackles. Like they got some big hosses and they're young, which is pretty good. That makes me excited for the potential of this team. They had Marlon Davidson on IR and TK McLendon Jr. on IR for the defensive side of the ball.
Right. Marlon Davidson was a 2nd-round pick, I want to say, from the Falcons a couple of years ago.
I don't think he played at all this year. I think he tore his bicep early on. So, and same with TK McLendon, a toe. But I didn't realize turf toe was like that. I didn't think turf toe was giving people fits like that for a whole year.
So what are we giving this D line?
I would say a strong B, and I would lean B plus. Like the depth is concerning, but I think their starting 3 is fire.
Okay, we'll go B. Then outside linebackers, pass rushers, we got Harold Landry, Arden Key, Ali Gay, Jalen Harrell. Pretty good. Inside linebackers, we got Jerome Baker, Luke Gifford, Cedric Gray, Otis Reese, James Williams, and Raekwon McMillan.
Okay, so looking at their stats here. So their tackle leader was Kenneth Murray Jr. Dang, Jeffrey Simmons had 76 tackles? Holy moly, dude. That's insane from a defensive tackle.
What's his name? Had 100 last year. Derek Brown.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. Okay, so Harold Landry had 9 sacks. 8. Airden Key had 6.5 sacks. Jeffrey Simmons 5. Kenneth Murray Jr. 3.5. Sebastian Joseph Day 2.5. Sweat 1. A bunch of people 1. So not a lot of sack production here. They had 32 in the year. But their linebackers definitely, Harold and Key definitely led the team. I mean, they're not like household names, you know, but they're solid like team players. C plus. C.
I think that's fair. C plus.
Okay.
Oh,
I mean, also they have I mean, their tackles for loss though. They kind of go crazy on tackles for loss. I mean, 15 from Landry, 12 from Roger McCreary.
that's
Yeah.
their slot corner.
I think their secondary is pretty good.
Daryl Worley is starting for them? What the heck?
I think because
Panthers legend, Daryl Worley.
Snead got hurt. He's on IR. Snead only played 5 games? Dang. I didn't think he played 5. Sheesh. That sucks. Secondary, Amani Hooker, 5 interceptions this year. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 interceptions for the Titans this year. Pretty, not bad actually. It's not bad. Jarvis Brownlee Jr., Daryl Worley, Shabode Owazi, Darrell Baker. Amani Hooker had a pretty good year. He's 26.
Yeah, they have some young talent in the secondary. Hooker's young, McCreary's young, Jarvis Brownlee's young. Awuzie's only like 27, I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of impressive. I mean, Jarvis Brownlee from Tennessee, a rookie, playing pretty good for them. Like, that's really exciting. And then if you get Snead back next year, like, I mean, you should have a pretty good secondary. I mean, again, it's one of those things kind of with the Texans a little bit. It's like, I think they're not better than the Texans, but like in terms of like a situation where their defense played really well statistically. But obviously they missed one of their key contributors, but they're young. They're still really, like, they're young everywhere, including that really spectacular defensive line. So I think if you definitely get a couple more impact players, maybe like an EJ Speed, maybe you can get him over from a division rival at linebacker, maybe. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think just a couple pieces. Like, honestly, like, one of my hot takes I was going to say on this podcast was that I think that the Titans are 2 to 3 moves away from being like a playoff contender and like possibly winning the division.
They're
Like,
big moves though.
They are big moves, like getting the quarterback right for sure. But then quarterback, receiver, and like a couple pieces on defense, like it's not impossible, right? Like if Cam Ward or if they try to go veteran, I think you have to go young quarterback because of the fact of you don't have any receivers who are ready to win now. You can trade Calvin Ridley.
Sam Darnold's gonna love it in Tennessee.
I mean, I don't hate it. Or Justin Fields. You know what I mean? Like if you can get a package of like you can move back because there's no one who has multiple first round picks this year. So like if you could like move back and get like another second or something and like be able to dip in, you know what I mean? I don't know. But like to get that quarterback position, like especially because if you have to love Cam Ward or Shador.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or not, maybe not. Like I don't know. Like do they just go like Abdul Carter and just like figure out the rest later? You know? I mean, I wouldn't hate a Justin Fields. Like I wouldn't hate a Justin Fields experiment and give him like a 2-year deal and then
Honestly, I
you.
think they should be the Travis Hunter team because they need corners and receivers.
I don't think it's that. For sure receiver. For sure receiver. Corner is like I don't hate their corner position. But like
I
it
love
would
it.
be beneficial. But I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I think I like because like if you go, I mean, I would go Travis Hunter or yeah. I mean, I go best player that you don't think is a quarterback, which is probably a lot of players. Um, and then yeah, I mean, I would go. I would really kind of try to. I would run with Justin Fields. I wouldn't say Kirk Cousins. He's too old. Um, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Teddy Bridgewater, if he actually wants to play. I'm trying to think who else was a free agent. Russell Wilson, we'll see what happens with his future. He could be the one that's a free agent. Marcus Mariota, you can run it back with Marcus Mariota. Cooper Rush. I don't know. I'm just throwing names out there.
He is nasty.
I mean, Drew Lock. Especially, you know what I mean, if you want to decide to build up everything else. And then, like, you still have Will Levis there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which sucks, but, like, if you just get more talent and then, take a shot at next year's quarterback class.
That's what I would do if I was the Titans. I would trade back, gain assets, and then get a quarterback next year.
Oh, yeah, because quarterback class should be way better next year. But
Let's look at free agent quarterbacks this year. Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. They could be a Trey Lance team.
I think Trey Lance for sure. Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, like, who knows what Zach Wilson is? You know?
Jacoby,
No.
Taylor Heineke, Marcus Mariota, Jarrett Stidham, Drew Lock, Andy Dalton, Justin Fields, Joe Flacco, Jameis.
I
They can run it
like
back,
it.
but like, hey, we didn't get a chance with Jameis to draft him because the Bucks had the 1 pick, we had the 2, but we'll take him now. Only 31. Mac Jones, Carson Wentz, Jimmy G, Case Keenum.
Mac Jones, I'm not even going to say it, but Mac Jones wasn't bad the last couple weeks for the Jags. He started to catch a little rhythm.
Desmond Ritter.
Nah.
Sam Ellinger.
I mean, I would rather Gardner
Tommy
Minshew.
Cutlets.
Definitely not. I wouldn't even mind running back, like trying out Gardner Minshew. But I think that experiment's probably played out.
Probably, yeah. He's not available yet, but he certainly might be.
But like, yeah, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Sam Darnold. Those are probably the 4 that are like actually worthy that you might be able to get that Baker Mayfield return, that Sam Darnold return. Shit, I mean, if the Vikings actually make JJ McCarthy available, which I doubt, Daniel Jones will be a free agent.
Why is he not on here? He should be a free agent because they just signed to the active roster, but I'm pretty sure they only signed until like a 1-year deal. Like it's not a multi-year deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, he should be a free agent.
So I'll say those 5. That's not bad.
Yeah. They got some options.
Okay. So. All right. Where we at? Okay. So grades for the corners. I think they have a really young secondary. If they get Snead back, I think that's going to give them a big boost. I'm going to say this is like B minus. B minus.
Respectfully, they're starting Daryl Worley. I cannot go higher than a C.
What? But I mean, Jason Brownlee Jr. and Roger McCreary are pretty good, and then Hooker had a really good year.
Daryl Worley is starting for this team.
I mean, you see, because of injury.
He's starting at safety though. He's not starting at corner. They had corner injuries. They didn't have safety injuries. Who's on the IR for his safety?
Let's see. I don't want this view. Come on, why is my internet not working? Here we go. Oh, it doesn't look like. Kuandre Diggs.
Okay. So he was still your third safety?
Yeah.
That's crazy. In case you don't know, Daryl Worley is one of 2 cornerbacks who combined to give up that 300 yards for Julio Jones against the Panthers.
Man, he's
It was
29.
him and James Bradbury as rookies. Their first game against Julio Jones, he went for 300.
Jeez. He had a forced fumble, interception, 2 pass breakups this year.
Respectfully, I cannot go higher than a C.
I think this secondary has performed pretty well.
They can get a C plus then, but they are not getting a B starting Daryl Worley.
Out of necessity. He's only played, let's see, what's this? How many games he's played this year? He only played 9 games this year.
So you almost started half the season.
Yeah.
C plus.
That's fine. All right.
Draft capital, they have the first overall pick. They have their second round pick. They do not have a third round pick. They have their own 4th through 6th round picks. They do not have their own 7th. So they don't have their 3rd or their 7th.
Okay.
They do have an extra 4th from Seattle, an extra 5th from Kansas City, and an extra 7th from Green Bay. So they have the first overall pick. They have
how many picks in the top 100?
Where'd it go? 2.
2 picks in the top 100?
Yeah. Because their 4th round pick is 102.
Okay.
They don't have their 3rd. So they have 135, 102, 119, 140, 166, 177, and 240.
Yeah, I think they should definitely trade back and get a 3rd round pick back.
Yeah.
And a 2nd next year at least. At the very least. Like an extra 2nd, a 3rd this year. A 2nd and 3rd this year, and like a 2nd next year, 3rd this year. Whatever. Depending on how far they drop back, of course. But I mean, they have what's that, 8 picks?
Yeah. And they have the first overall pick, which they can trade back and get like 4 picks for.
They do have a highly coveted pick that's like a bonus, having that first overall pick. I'm gonna say 8 picks, so they have more than the allotted, just barely. So I'm gonna give that I'm gonna go B minus.
I'm gonna give that an A, just because if the first overall pick is so valuable.
It is very valuable. But I will, yes, but yeah, okay. I don't know. A is high for me. I'll go B plus.
Maybe A minus. Meet in the middle.
Because I just think it's just
because you can trade the first overall pick for another top 10 pick.
Are we looking at hypotheticals, or are we looking at what they got right now? Because they got 2 in the top 100, 3 in the top 102. But then obviously, yes, that first round pick that first overall pick is such a big chip to where the grade can go up to an A if they get a ransom
That's
and
what
get
draft capital is, though. It's the potential of what you could do with the picks. That includes trading, not just
okay. So
draft.
we are including trading it.
Yeah, that's part of draft capital. Like draft capital
That's
is
fair. Okay.
capital to trade.
I mean, I'll go B plus, but I wouldn't. Look, A minus is fine. That's fine.
Because even if they trade back from
Because I
the
mean, if you can
second,
get you a Panthers ransom, I mean, yeah, obviously.
all
Because I
right,
mean,
relax.
they actually need a Panthers ransom.
They do,
Like they
but
need
they
the
could trade back
receiver.
from 35 and get like a late second and a third,
True, or trade back up.
or trade back. Well, I wouldn't trade back up if I were them. But even if they keep one and they trade back from 35, they can get like 50 and 70
Right.
for 35. So like they have
Two really premium
picks.
first two picks in the top 100.
Yeah. Now what to do with them?
But it's like we also got to see who they go for at GM. I mean, this might be a Jerry Jones situation, you know. Like the owner might just come in and just because it's an owner and then it's the president and then it's the GM and then it's like he reports that like it's such a bad structure.
It's a lot.
It's Olave.
Yeah. So there's Amy Adams Strunk, the controlling owner. Kenneth Adams the fourth is the board of directors co-chairman. Chad Brinker is the president of football operations. They don't have a GM right now because they just fired Rand Carthen for no reason.
Yeah. And his team is so young, man. Like, could you imagine him be able to just continue to like? Obviously, the quarterback position is so like. I think he's getting unfairly like. People are like, oh, he drafted Will Levis, but dude, look at like he's developing that team. Like, you had to like because like again, it wasn't a good quarterback draft where they were picking.
No, and they didn't trade up for Will Levis. He fell to them, and they were like,
Exactly.
okay.
They took a chance in the second round. They got an offensive lineman to help bolster their offensive line. And they also, like, if that worked, I mean, you get an offensive lineman and a quarterback. Like, that ideally would have been the best case scenario. Obviously, hindsight is 50-50 or 2020, excuse me. You know, but then he would have had another shot at the apple, you know, if that's who if he found a guy that he truly liked. I wanted to see him work. And it's crazy, like all the people who, I mean, maybe he goes back to San Francisco because San Francisco definitely needs some help in that front office. Like, obviously, the king who's really making all the decisions over there, Adam Peters, left, and now they're still on the shit. It's crazy. As soon as Adam Peters leaves the 49ers front office, they don't make the playoffs. Just saying. A good GM matters.
They do. And this front office does not have a GM. So I'm giving them an F.
F for Wheezy F, baby.
And the F is for effing atrocious. Coaching staff. They got Brian Callahan. Denard Wilson is defensive coordinator.
Which I think he's doing really well.
I do too. Offensive coordinator doesn't matter because Brian Callahan, I believe, calls plays still.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, this is his first time calling plays too.
So what are we giving the coaching staff?
I mean, how good could you make Will Levis look, you know? Not very. The defensive coordinator saves Brian Callahan and then Bill Callahan. I'm a little bit Bill because I think he's such a great offensive coordinator. Great. I think Bill Callahan is low-key the offensive coordinator, is he? Did I run down that? Nick Holes. Nick Holes is the offensive coordinator. He's 40 years old from Danville, California. He last was the passing game coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars for 1 year. Previous to that 1 year, he was the offensive coordinator for UNLV for 1 year. Then previous to that, he was at the Las Vegas Raiders as an assistant wide receiver coach, offensive quality control. So he's with the Raiders for a long time, since he was 28. He was at Stanford as a quality control coach when he was 23 years old. Or no, Nebraska. Then he went to Stanford, then Oakland, then Lake Las Vegas, then UNLV, then Jacksonville for 1 year, and then Tennessee for 1 year.
So he's a journeyman.
But he's 40. It's like he went from like background. He went from assistant wide receiver coach to offensive coordinator at UNLV, then came back to the NFL to be passing game coordinator for the Jags, and then offensive coordinator for the Titans. So, yeah.
So he doesn't matter.
He kind of stinks. I'm not stink. I honestly say stinks, but like it just doesn't feel like he's very inexperienced. He was an office assistant under Dennis Allen. He's the offensive coordinator under Brian Callahan. He was the assistant wide receiver coach for Jack Del Rio, assistant wide receiver coach for John Gruden, and passing game coordinator for Doug Peterson. Those names don't excite me.
They don't make me feel nicey.
Who? So overall, we're going to give this Tennessee Titans team. You got to have it.
The coaching staff.
Oh, coaching staff. D plus. C minus, maybe.
I think C minus.
I mean, the defense actually performed. Defense was a top 10 defense. I think they finished second.
Okay, so
they finished really high.
We got draft
offense
capital.
Was just really bad.
Yeah, offense is bad, but the quarterback's bad. So we got draft capital, coaching staff, front office. Now we need overall talent.
On the defensive side of the ball, they have talent on the defensive side of the ball. That's not a question. Offensive line, like they're young, and they're young everywhere. That's the thing. This is just a young football team.
Without a quarterback.
But even with the quarterback they got, young. Everyone's like under 25. You know? But it's just not a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball, just to be quite frank. At like the skill position. They need skill position guys, like badly. C.
I think C's fair. Defense definitely carries that grade.
I'm willing to give it C plus, but even with because it's like a sum of their parts versus individual grades, you know.
Defense is probably like a B minus. Offense is like a D
minus.
So average to like a C.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you might have to go C minus just because they got the first overall pick. You know what I mean? They earned it.
Well, we don't know who's going to make that. What is going to determine what they do with it? They don't have a GM.
That's fair. It's going to be the owner.
And that's part of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So their current free agents, Sebastian Joseph Day.
Ooh.
Jerome Baker.
Oh, okay.
Quandre Diggs.
Oh.
Daniel Brunskill. Okay. Dylan Radins. So that's 5 starters.
That's a lot. They do have $67 million in cap space. We didn't talk about that. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Top 10 in the league.
They have 22 free agents. And like I said, 5 of them are starters. Actually 7, because their punter and kicker are also both free agents. Nick Folk, 40 years old, free agent. Ryan Stonehouse, 25 years old, free agent.
Man, Rand had this thing. I mean, it's not the best look when your highest paid player on your team is Calvin Ridley with a $28 million cap hit next year. That's kind of nasty work. But then Harold Landry, $24 million. L'Jarius Sneed, $23 million. Jeffrey Simmons, $22 million. And I mean, these guys are locked up until 2028, 2029, 2027, 2028. So, I mean, you got them. Ozzie, 14. So you got about four players making over $20 million. No one over 30 million. So I mean, and everyone else is like it's like 3 players over 10 million, and everyone else is under $10 million. So I mean, obviously they still have a lot of cap space. They can move. They can wiggle a little bit. They can wiggle a little bit, to be honest. I mean, obviously Calvin Ridley's not going anywhere because he has a $37 million cap hit. Snead has a $35 million cap hit, and Jeffrey Simmons has a $20 million cap hit. But I mean, Harold Landry has a $13 million cap hit. You can finagle that. So yeah, I mean, and then Lloyd Cushenberry, I think he was hurt this year.
I forgot they got Lloyd Cushenberry.
Yeah. Oh shit, they might be okay. See, they got some key injuries to positions that, kind of hindered them a little bit.
Yeah, Cushenberry was good with the Broncos.
Yeah, they're paying him 14, and he's 28, so he's still in his prime, and he's signed to 2028. So yeah, I mean, and he's a savvy vet to be at the center, and they can figure out that guard position. This offensive line might not be far away. My prediction might still be valid. It's just they need skill position, and they could try to go with like a bunch of 3s and 2s and try to sum it up if they find because I think Cam Ward with a bunch of 2s and 3s is good because I think Cam Ward can facilitate.
He can for sure.
Shador for sure, and I think Shador will try to get one of his Colorado guys to come with them as well, which is fine because they don't need anybody to be honest to catch the football. And I think Shador is also the same way because they're really the same player. They're really the same player, but the athletic upside with Cam Ward is way higher.
Yeah,
but
and Cam Ward's just a chill guy.
Stop it. But yeah, that is the AFC South. That is our breakdown of each team. So we have a good base. It took a little bit of time to build that foundation, but hey, that is the key for building this foundation so we know where we're at. We will, over the course of time, build our draft needs for each team. We kind of talked about it as we went through each team, what they need. So as we do our mock drafts for each team, we can try to supplement and figure out how to make this team better. And then I'm really interested to see by the end of this draft cycle, how many players did we hit on in terms of for the right team. So because as we go through this process, man, it's going to be really exciting to see how the narratives shift and swirl, because obviously a lot of the narratives that you see throughout the draft process is for a reason, and you just got to listen. You got to listen. Who's manipulating? So.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Rookie Revelation. Thanks for joining us. And don't forget, rate and leave a review. It helps us bring you even more draft day insights. You got a player you're keeping your eye on, or a draft take you're dying to share? Reach out to us on social media at hate2pylon or drop an email at hate2pylon@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. But until next time, remember, the future of football starts here. We'll see you next week on the Rookie Revelation. The Rookie Revelation will be televised.